Good evening, gentlemen and gentle not men. Welcome back to the old computer shack. So the Pt.1 is down for the moment. There was recently a new release of Pt.1 Linux, which is my very favorite Linux distribution. It's basically Debian without systemd, because systemd is antithetical to the Unix philosophy and the developers are bullies, so heck with it. However, the Pt.1 software, at least according to the documentation, I'm not finished messing with it yet, but it appears to require systemd, or at least the startup scripts do. So the Pt.1 is down for the moment while I upgrade everything to the new release of Pt.1, and which also includes better Pi4 support, which is why it's going on this thing now instead of Raspbian. And I'm gonna have to probably write some of my own init scripts for System5 init, since I'm not using systemd to make the Pt.1 work again, which is fine. I was using an old version of the Pt.1 system software. That's why we were having problems with Colossal Cave. Once I get the new software installed and working with System5 init, everything should be happy and we can rock and roll like it is 1962. However, with the Pt.1 down, that also means that we do not really have a viable machine to test the TRS-80 DT1 with. So I'm going to leave it on the shelf for the moment until I finish that project, and instead let us pull this beast out. Yes, yes, yes! This beautiful beast is a Zenith Z19 serial terminal, which is actually older than the DT1. This is a 1982 vintage, whereas I believe the DT1 is a 1984 vintage. But this has some significant differences from the DT1. In fact, despite outward appearances, they could not be more different. It's very interesting. Now, this one came with this contrast enhancement filter, which is really terrible to look at. So we will get rid of it. And it also doesn't work. Now this is an ANSI terminal, which doesn't mean, well, that's what they call it in the manual. That doesn't mean it supports all of the ANSI escape sequences that we are used to from our BBSing back in the day. No, this is an ANSI terminal protocol that predates that ANSI protocol. This is actually VT52 compatible. But it is VT52 compatible, unlike the DT1, which ought to make it work a lot better with a wider variety of unices. Now, this same enclosure was also used for the Zenith Z19 CPM computer. In fact, in the Z89 there would be an 8-inch floppy drive right here where this panel is. Same enclosure, maybe even, I don't know if it's the same motherboard. I've never messed with a Z89, but well, we'll talk about that when we get into the insides of this thing. So I've tried to power this thing up and it doesn't work. So we're going to have to fix it before we do anything. But let's power it up again and I'll show you what I found. Okay, let's get zoomed out where you can see, and I will attempt to power it up. Please, once again, forgive my filthy hands. I've been working on stock trailers all afternoon, and the grease just won't wash off. So, let's hit the power switch and see what happens. Alright, we heard a beep when we powered the thing on, and there's an offline switch here that switches it between local echo and not local echo mode, and also cuts the serial port on and off. And with that switch in a certain position, can you hear that? You can hear the key click, and if we hit Control G, it should play a bell. No? Okay, here we are. I had the switch in the wrong position. Hear that? So, it appears that the logic board is working, but there's nothing on the display. There's a contrast control in the back, and I've tried it in every position and nothing happens. And if you get close and listen, you should be able to hear that faint, high-pitched tone of the high voltage section, but you can't. There's nothing. There's no raster on the CRT or anything. So my conjecture is that the high voltage section is out of the analog board for the video. Like something's wrong with the flyback circuit or something. I don't have much experience fixing them, and to be honest, I'm not really an analog guy. But hopefully we can figure it out. If all else fails, we can always ask the wonderful folks on the Vintage Computer forums, because they know everything that there is to know about everything. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, let me turn this off. I forgot to mention earlier that this Zenith terminal was produced shortly after Zenith bought the Heath company. So there was also a Heath H-19 terminal that was distributed in kit form that was exactly the same as this one. The only deal is, you know, like the Zenith was the factory assembled version, and the Heath H-19 only came as the parts kit for the end user to assemble themselves. And I've fooled around buying some old Heath stuff, and oscilloscopes. I've had a couple of old Heath oscilloscopes that came as kits to begin with, and I mean, they're cool, and Heath is a cool name, and it's awesome to have one, right? But I got rid of both of the old Heath oscilloscopes that I had, because having been built from a kit, both of those scopes, the build quality just wasn't the same as something from the factory. So that's something you have to be aware of if you buy like an assembled Heath kit. You know what I'm saying? You don't really know what you're getting. It may be great, or it may have like wires just wrapped around posts on tube sockets with like no solder. So let's unplug it. Yes, let's unplug it and open it up. And I don't know what I'm doing, but hopefully if I electrocute myself and die, somebody else will edit the video and you can watch it and laugh at me. So let's see what's going on here. So this thing has some kind of clips in the side that you're supposed to push forward some way, and then the top lifts off like a road tractor hood or something. I guess I've got to hit those with a screwdriver or something. Alright, can you see that a little better there maybe? Yeah? Okay, cool. Let's see if we can open this contraption. Let's see, we gotta push the thing, right? Okay. Forgive my filthy self, hillbilly. You have to expect it. Alright, I think it's off now. Yeah, okay. Dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. There's a typewritten paper on the inside here. Can you? Yeah, I guess. Well, I guess you can't see that. There's a typewritten paper on the inside here that has like the dip switch settings on it. This terminal doesn't configure in software like the DT1 does. You have to flip these dip switches, I guess. I thought there was only one bank of dip switches. I'll have to look back in the manual again. No. Yeah, this comes off. Okay, cool. Now, let's see here. This speaker is like loose. It looks like it's supposed to be stuck to this double-sided tape down in here. Maybe. I guess the FedEx boys got a little rambunctious. Maybe they were using the package as a soccer ball. But let me tell you now, if you're a dude on eBay selling old stuff like this, you gotta make sure you pack the stuff sufficiently. Now, I know that people bitch and moan about high shipping costs, but you gotta double box the stuff, you gotta pad it appropriately. And you gotta protect the keyboard to keep keys from going missing. I'm serious, man. Like, FedEx especially are like apes. And you can't just drop it into like a flimsy cardboard box with a bunch of packing peanuts and expect it to survive the trip. It's gotta be supported on all sides by padding that doesn't move, and it's got to be double boxed so that when FedEx inevitably fucks up the external box, the stuff doesn't punch all the way through and scratch up the machine. We'll see the scratches on the thing after a while when we try to fix the case, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, and that yoke's like, wait a minute, wait a minute. What foolery. The CRT is not even plugged in. And the deflection yoke is like back further than it ought to be. Or something. That's where it's supposed to be. There's a clamp back here that I guess is too loose, and but how did that CRT socket couldn't have fallen off of there in shipping? I mean, like, somebody unplugged the CRT for a reason. So does that mean that if we plug the CRT back in and power it up, that the thing's gonna blow up? I mean, I don't know, man. Now, oh, look at this gnarly flyback transformer here. Is that gnarly or what? That's like, don't stick your fingers in there, man. I'm surprised it's not like in a box of its own or something. Well, I don't know, man. Let's just, let's plug the CRT back in and see what happens. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? 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 I'll give you the bird's eye view here for when the smoke comes out. Lord, should we really do this? I mean, I don't know how else to test. You know what? What's the worst that can happen? Right? Right. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Oh God. I'm gonna block my eyes in case the CRT implodes or some shit. Well, I didn't see any smoke, did you? I don't see anything on the screen though. If I turn... Holy shit balls. Hang on, let me move the camera. Alright, check this out, guys. There's a cursor. It looks a little weird though. Let's see, I guess we have to hold down the repeat key to repeat stuff. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Check it out, man! Oh, we have to hit line feed, huh? Let's get a pattern on the screen here that we can use. Okay, shift, repeat, splat. So this is just the deflection coil not being oriented the right way. Now, watch me electrocute myself now. Gotta be very careful. That flyback transformer is just right there, man. Bare wires on this deflection yoke. Yeah. 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 Okay. So it's a little fuzzy. Can you see that fuzziness? I don't know what the deal with that is. It's like it's kind of fuzzier in the middle than it is at the edges. There's probably a what is it? The linearity control that you use for that? That's still not quite straight either. So all that was wrong, well, at least we assume all that was wrong was that the CRT was unplugged. I don't know. That's straight enough for now. Let me look in the manual a little bit and see if we can adjust the focus here. Well, it's not just the focus. We've got to adjust something else to like change the focus curve so that it looks right. Although, you know, okay. As old as the thing is, if it's been sitting for a long time without being powered on, some of those electrolytic capacitors have probably deteriorated some. And when you start using stuff like this again, sometimes those capacitors kind of self-heal a little bit. So if our focus curve is out of whack because of that, maybe I should just let the machine run for a while and see if things clear up a little bit. I'll be back in a little while. Yeah, look, it seems like it's getting sharper on the edges, but it's still very, very fuzzy in the center there. Do we need to move the? I mean, if we pull the yoke back, no, that's not right. The yoke needs to be all the way up. There's definitely a control in here that we need to adjust. Let me look in the book. Hang on, I'll be back. Okay, so there's a focus pot in here on the side, and it looks like the kind that you run with your finger, but I'm kind of afraid to stick my fingers in there. I mean, it's way underneath it there. Let me find a pokey thing to stick in there. Perfect. Professional tool. Yes. Professional. Yes. Oh, you dirty rascal. Okay. Oh, come on now. It's not the kind of pot that you stick a screwdriver in. It's the kind that you're supposed to turn with your fingers, but it looks a little scary in there because I'm a wuss. I'm a wuss, guys. All hell with you, pin. Alright, let's see if I can electrocute myself on this flyback. Wait, that's a horizontal positioning pot. Am I turning the wrong thing? Yes, I am. It's back in here. Dumber than shit. Oh yeah. Okay, so that brings into focus the center and brings the outside out of focus. Well, this is as good as I can get it. It looks a lot better in person than it does on camera. I've got these. Oop, there went my Allen wrench. Where did you go, Allen wrench? I'll find you later. I've got these really bright lights up above, so that doesn't help. But if I block them, I mean, it's still a little bit fuzzy right in the corners. This corner up here is the worst. This corner down here is the second worst, and it's actually not terrible over on this side. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, that's very readable. So, you know, let's see what it looks like when we put that filter back on. The surface of this filter is really grody, though. The years have not been kind to it. Well, I mean, it makes it darker. It makes it look a lot better on the camera, but in person it just makes it everything a little bit darker. I don't see the point. Whatever. I guess that's as good as we're gonna get it. I'm gonna let it run for a while and see if maybe things kind of get a little more normal. It's just those corners. Maybe I've got some kind of magnetic interference going on here somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for this evening. I'm surprised that the thing was that easy to fix. I mean, it wasn't actually even broken, I don't think. Just, how did that connector come unplugged? Somebody had to have done that. It couldn't have happened in shipping. It goes on there too tightly for it. I mean, FedEx would have literally had to have been dribbling the thing to get that connector to come off. And I mean, the box was busted open, and if it would have had to have made any more stops, it probably would have been just decimated. But heck with FedEx. But I mean, the machine survived. The box just didn't. That's perfectly usable. Very good. So now that we've got two working terminals, maybe it doesn't matter that much if the pardon me. Maybe it doesn't matter that much if the Pt.8 is temporarily out of commission, because I could just cable the two terminals together and make them talk to each other without needing like a Unix server to hook it to. I guess I could hook them to the machine downstairs too, but I don't want to drag it up here, because I don't want to drag these down there either. It's really messy down there. You don't want to see that. It'll scar you for life, and you'll lose any shred of respect that you might have mistakenly had for me to begin with. And then you never watch any of my videos again. So, and we don't want that. So I'm not going to take you downstairs to see that machine down there. So next time we'll adapt the DTE pinout to the DCE pinout, and that way we'll only have to have one type of serial cable. Everything will use crossover cables. We won't have to screw around with this DCE, DTE cabling nightmare. It was a good idea in like 1960, I guess, but like once general purpose PCs that used DCE pinouts started also connecting to modems, which may have used either one, everything got confusing. And, oh, do I use a straight through cable or do I use a null modem cable? But if you wire everything DCE, you just use a crossover cable every time, and you never have to think about it. Because I'm not very good at thinking to begin with. So yeah, thanks for watching. Got a little rambly there. Sorry about that. See you next time. Maybe the next thing will be a little more exciting, huh? Yeah, the case on this thing's really terrible. I'm going to have to fix it with like Bondo or something. It's going to be an adventure. Alright, cool. See you later. Thanks for watching.